Yeah. Okay. In 1985, I was working as a counselor for the American Airlines Employee Assistance Program based in their maintenance facility in Tulsa, Oklahoma, serving about 3,000 employees there, most mechanics, aircraft mechanics of one kind or another. One morning, and I, by the way, was doing mental health services, so this was counseling and other kinds of mental health programs that we provided employees and their family members. And one morning, a guy that I'll call John came into my office carrying his Igloo Playmate lunchbox. You remember those Igloo Playmate things that they all plastic and they have a button on the side that you push and you push the top open to get your stuff out and then you close it. And he sat down and I said, "What can I do for you this morning, John?" And he said, "I didn't pack my lunch today. Instead, I put my gun in my lunchbox and 2 clips of ammo. And I was going to go in and shoot my supervisor. And then I was going to go home and I'm going to kill my wife. But as I was walking in from the parking lot, I thought, that's pretty messed up. So I decided maybe I better come and see you first." Now, folks, I took my graduate training in the 70s, and they didn't talk about how to deal with workplace violence back then, at least not at the graduate school I was in. So for the next 90 minutes, I talked to John about what his concerns were and his beliefs and what had led him to this kind of thought. And he sat there with that lunchbox in his lap, pushing that button in and out. Click, click, click. Finally, he agreed this was really messed up and he needed help. And he agreed to admit himself voluntarily to the psychiatric unit of the hospital in Tulsa. Problem was, there was no way that he would accept to go there unless I drove him. So we got in my car and we started driving to the hospital. But he wouldn't give up the lunchbox. So as we're driving to the hospital, I have learned all of a sudden how to have one eye looking straight ahead. This other eye was looking at this goddamn Igloo Playmate lunchbox. And he kept pushing the button in. Click, click. We got to the hospital. I parked at the emergency entrance. There was a nurse sitting at the triage station. We walked in, before we got out, I looked at John and I said, "John, they don't allow guns in hospitals." And he clicked it one more time. He said, "Okay," put it down. We got out of the car, walked into the hospital, and at the triage desk, the nurse sitting there said, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "My name is Paul Heck, and I work for American." And "John, tell her what's going on." And so he said, "I came in this morning thinking I was going to kill my supervisor, and I think that's messed up and I need help." And that nurse didn't miss a beat. She stood up and she said, "Well, hon, I'm glad you're here. Let's go see the doc." And she came around and she took him into the back, and that was the last I saw of John. But I still had a lunchbox sitting in my car. And there was a policeman sitting there at a security desk, and I went up to him and I said, "Can you come out to my car? And I've got a lunchbox out there." And I thought, well, that's not enough information. I think there's a gun in it. And he said, "Oh, let's go see." So we got up and we're walking out to the car, and all of a sudden it hits me, there might not be anything in that thing but a bologna sandwich. I mean, he was clearly delusional. I'd figured that out. So we walked up to the car, and I opened the door, and I pointed to the lunchbox because I was not going to touch that damn thing. And the cop reached down, and he picked it up, and he sat it on top of my car, so I couldn't see inside. He pushed that button, pushed the top open, and he looked inside. And he looked at me. And I thought, oh my God, it is a bologna sandwich. Then he reached inside, and he pulled out a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. And he just kind of smiled, and he said, "Good job, Doc. I'll take it from here." And that's my story.